That is a little bit of the action from a previous G-Day. The next G-Day for girls is coming up on October 20th, and the event aims to celebrate and empower girls as they transition into their teen years. And joining us now to tell us more about it is G-Day founder Madeleine Shaw. Thank you so much for being with us.
My absolute pleasure, Samantha.
So if people may not be familiar with G-Day, tell me what it is.
I would love to. G-Day is a Made in Vancouver celebration series that is for tween girls ages 10 to 12 and the adults who are taking care of them. We call them champions, and that includes parents, it includes godparents, grandparents, mentors, teachers, so on, to basically be the proverbial village for a day that it takes to raise a child.
And why do you aim at tween girls?
It's a really, really interesting kind of phase. So we're targeting the transition between childhood and adolescence. So adolescence starts at approximately age 10 and is a really important formative time in our lives. So we're leaving the childhood world behind, and we're taking our first steps towards becoming adults in the world. And so it's a time where self-esteem is being built, where the brain is very receptive to emotional memories and experiences. So we're not really trying to teach the girls anything, we're trying to make them feel a certain way, which are things like safety and being seen and valued in a community context.
Now, I have a tween boy, he's 10. Are there issues that are different for tween girls?
I think so. I mean, girls are much more at risk for things like eating disorders. Basically, we're trying to equip them emotionally to be able to deal with a media, respectfully, and cultural climate where appearance is being prioritized for them. So whereas once upon a time, these girls might have been reinforced or valued for being really great at athletics or whatever they were interested in school, and then suddenly when their bodies start to change, the whole reason that they're valued starts changing. So we start talking about what they look like or how attractive they are, how popular they are, that kind of thing. So that seems to be a much stronger slant for girls than for boys. Boys have their own skewed reality to deal with in terms of hyper-masculinization, but in the case of girls, it benefits them a lot to be in a single-sex environment and just be feeling safe and seen and heard and valued and celebrated by their entire community.
For sure. So how did you get the idea to do this?
Well, interestingly enough, it started when I was a girl myself. So when I was 10, 11, 12, I was fascinated. Like, to me, the idea of becoming an adult woman seemed like the coolest thing you could possibly be.
You wanted to grow up.
I did, and I just admired adult women so much. Like, they just seemed so confident and smart and funny and beautiful and strong and powerful. And even though I had all of the information that I needed about puberty and what was going to actually physically happen to me, what was missing for me was a sense of feeling special and sort of the magic of it. And so G-Day is there to do that. It's a rite of passage, and so common rites of passage are things like graduations and weddings, where one group of people is acknowledging a social transition in others, and we celebrate that.
And so what will exactly happen on the Friday?
Well, that's a great question. Rites of passage typically have 3 stages. So we're going to gather initially as a group. So G-Day is not just for girls, it's for those champions I mentioned as well. So we gather as a community in the morning to kind of acknowledge our sense of place and have some intergenerational conversations. So it's not just people listening to people at the front of the room talking to them, it's really about them connecting with one another. From there, there's this ritual separation. So there's separate programming for the girls and for the champions. And so they're sort of delivered different aspects. So the champions are going to hear about things like the hypersexualization of girls and how to combat it, how to support them as they're going through puberty, that kind of thing. And the girls, meanwhile, are really encouraged to drop into their own self-esteem and relationships with themselves through meditation. They're going to dance together. They're going to engage in some creative exercises. And they're also going to hear from some local leaders, like the Honorable Melanie Mark is going to be talking to them about her journey as a leader. So holding up role models for them. And then finally, at the end of the day, is this very beautiful ritual, essentially, where the champions receive the girls. Now they've symbolically transitioned from being children at the beginning of the day to becoming adult tweens at the end of the day. So when they come back together, there's a very beautiful kind of call and response activity where they say really special things to one another. So they're really, the girls are hearing the voices of 200 people telling them that they matter in community. And there's music, and then we all dance, and then we eat dessert.
And then you eat dessert. Well, it sounds pretty amazing. It sounds transformative. And I understand the response has been so big, it's full up.
We are sold out at this point, but there is a wait list. And so anybody who's feeling disappointed to have missed this particular G-Day, know that there are more coming and that they should absolutely put their names on the waiting list, because we're trying to distribute as many tickets as possible to girls who might not otherwise be able to come for financial reasons. And so depending on how many of those we're able to get out into the community, there may be a few left over at the end, and we're trying to get as many people as possible to come.
Well, excellent. Thank you for coming in and telling us about it today. And your website is, if people would like to stay in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. It's at gday.world. And then also I would encourage people to sign up for a newsletter on that website, because it just may be the case that we're going to be having G-Day again in Vancouver in the spring, in addition to a bunch of other Canadian cities in 2018.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like there's definitely a call for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madeleine. Good to meet you.
Thanks.